Hello everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making some quick-ish cards using the Serenade of Autumn products from Spellbinders. Let's go ahead and get started. Spellbinders was kind enough to send out some products to me from this collection and I think they are absolutely stunning. First, we're going to take a look at the Serenade of Autumn chipboard stickers. So there are 2 pages of these stickers and they are, again, made from chipboard, so they're pretty thick, so they automatically have dimension built into them. Then we have the Serenade of Autumn die cut shapes. And there are 138 pieces in this set. Some of them have gold foiling on them. Some of them are only gold foiled. And then other ones are colored and printed on heavyweight cardstock. There is a great variety of products and pieces in this collection, and some of these have a fall theme and some of them don't, so you can definitely use these products beyond the fall season. And then the third product that I have that I'm going to be using is the three-dimensional Serenade of Autumn butterflies. Now there are 7 pieces in this pack, and you can see here that these butterflies have their wings lifted up. They are also printed on acetate, and they have some gold foiling embellishment on them as well. So we're going to make 3 cards today, and the very first card that we're going to start out is going to be our simplest card. I've got my pieces laid out here. I went through the die cut shapes and kind of put together a couple of card sets that we're going to make today. I'm going to start out with a piece of Nina Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, and I'm going to add some Rustic Wilderness shading or inking to this paper. I just wanted to have a little bit of a colorful background to lift these die cuts off the paper and kind of separate them from the white card panel that we're going to be using today. So my first card is very much a fall theme card. It is going to have pumpkins on it, leaves that are changing colors, some darker color accent pieces. And so I'm just going to kind of take some of those die cuts, lay them out in an arrangement, and figure out which way I want to have them all arranged on my card panel. I'm going to bring in one of the chipboard sentiments from the chipboard set, and I'm kind of eyeballing that to see where I want that, just to make sure that the die cuts behind it are exactly where I want them to be. Throughout all 3 of these cards, I'm going to be using the press and seal trick quite a bit. You'll see that in all 3 cards that I do. So I brought that in this time and picked up all of the die cut pieces from the arrangement that I made. And now I'm using the Artiste glue and just adding a couple of drops of glue to the back of the die cuts. This is going to allow me to adhere those die cuts to my inked up panel. And I can see through the press and seal, so I'm able to get a good idea of exactly where on the card panel these die cuts will be landing. Now notice there I did not put adhesive or liquid adhesive on the back of every single one of the die cuts, because I knew that I wanted to pop up a couple of the die cuts just to give them a little bit more dimension. So I've put some foam tape on the back of 2 of those die cuts and popped those up just a little bit. And now I'm going to be able to slide my chipboard sentiment right up under those the popped up popped up die cuts, and I'm able to press that down because it does have adhesive on it already. Press that down onto my card panel, and then I can move on to adding a couple of those gold foil accents that are in the die cut pack. There are tons of those, as you can see, various different sizes and shapes, so you can add those easily to each of your creations, and you can even pop those up as well. I did put some foam tape on the back of one of those little accents, added that to the card, and that makes the panel complete. Now I'm going to come in and use some foam tape on every single panel that I'm making today rather. And because you guys know how much I love adding dimension. I just really, really like the way a card panel looks when it's lifted up off of the card base. It just gives it a finished look that is pleasing to my eye. And so with that, by peeling the backer tape off of that foam tape, I was able to complete this card. Now again, that is the most simple card that we're going to create. We're going to move on now to our second card. And we're still going to be using the die cuts from the Serenade of Autumn's pack or collection. But I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm using some of the ones that are just gold foiled in the set. Then I also have one here that is a larger die cut, has color on it, but it also has a sentiment and gold foil as well. So I'm bringing that press and seal paper back in, picking up my arrangement of my die cuts. And you can see one of them kind of fell off right there. But off camera, I went ahead and created a hot foiled kind of background, half of a background rather, for this card. I'm going to show you in just a minute the hot foil plates that I used to create this panel, but I just absolutely love the detail that adding this little strip of hot foiled panel to the back of our collection of die cuts, that I love what that does for the die cuts. Now I've showed you guys before that some of my favorite foam dots are from Stampin' Up. And the way that Stampin' Up makes theirs, they have an outline to their foam dot. They don't waste a lot of the foam, but they do have an outline kind of around them. So I save that and I use it because it's the same dimension as the foam dots. So that's what I'm doing here. I've cut that extra part down, the border, and I fit it all along all of those die cuts because that collection there is kind of long. So using that border right there makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm using that, and the foam squares from Stampin' Up, they're not super thick, so it's going to create just enough dimension for adding that collection of die cuts to that hot foiled panel. So I've peeled back the press and seal tape because I have majority of the die cuts secured to that foiled panel that I created. Now I'm going to turn this collection over and I'm going to add a few more of those foam squares to the area that is going to be, that's hanging off of the hot foiled panel that I made. And that's because you can see there I added some foam strips to the back of that hot foil panel. So in order to match the dimension that the hot foil panel is creating, I had to thicken up the foam squares on the part of the die cuts that's hanging off. That way my card, when I press everything into place, everything still looks flush. Nothing gets creased and folded because the dimensions of the foam tape don't match. Everything will be nice and secure and in place when I press everything in on the card base like I did just there. So everything is able to be up and lifted and matching and looking amazing. So that's the second card that we're going to make today. The third card is going to be dimension on dimension on dimension. I also made a hot foil panel for this card, and it is, again, I'll show you the plates. Both of these plates are from Spellbinders. So I'll show you the plate that I used in just a few minutes. But I'm going to take that plate because I went ahead and trimmed it down. Take that panel rather, and I kind of cut the edges to mimic or to look like the edges of the hot foil plate. So now I'm going to kind of lay all these die cuts out. And this is, you can see there I have a large collection of die cuts. I'm not going to use them all, But I have a lot to choose from because I knew that I wanted this third and final card to be full of die cuts and kind of have a lot of dimension and some texture as well. So I've kind of taken some of the rosettes, kind of positioned them around with some leaves and some sprigs. And I'm going to use one of those three-dimensional butterflies to kind of add a little bit more dimension and texture to this card. I'm kind of figuring out exactly where, what space of the card or what area of the card I'm going to have the butterfly be attached, and kind of liking what I got going on right now. So again, I'm bringing in that press and seal, and I am picking up all of these die cuts because there are probably about almost 10 die cuts on this particular layout that I'm creating. Peeling that press and seal back, and a pro tip too: be careful with press and seal on hot foil. If you press too hard on the press and seal on something that you have hot foiled, it could pick up the hot foil and kind of lift some of that hot foil off of your creation. So just be mindful of how hard you press in the areas where the hot foil is on when you're creating. So again, I brought in that Artiste glue. I put some dots of glue on some of the die cuts and glued those and adhered those down to the card panel. The rosettes, though, I wanted them to stick up a little bit more. So I'm going to bring in those foam dots again and apply some of those to the back of the rosettes. And then the rosettes, when I apply them or adhere them to the card, they're going to be popped up just a tiny bit from the rest of the card panel. The press and seal is a great trick. It allows you to just keep everything the way you want them or the way you laid it out. I just don't even know what I would do without something like that. I might use some sticky tape or some mint tape or something like that to do the same thing. I went ahead and added another butterfly to the collection, to the card panel, and now I'm bringing in that three-dimensional butterfly and just layering that onto the card. Offset a little bit and kind of turn like the butterfly is about to take off and fly away. You can press the area where the wings are. It's not going to hurt that butterfly, but if you want to make sure that you have those butterfly wings popped up and kind of flexing up, then you just want to go back and just make sure that you kind of lift them up a little bit to reestablish that lift that you have. In that packet of sentiments in packet of die cuts, there are tons and tons of sentiments. So I took one of the happy birthday sentiments, I put some foam tape on the back of that, and now I've adhered that to the card. Now, you didn't think I wasn't going to add some more foam tape to the back of this panel, did you? Yes, I'm adding some more foam tape and some more dimension to this card by putting some foam tape on the back of that panel. I think I'm about ready to press it into place, but then I make another fourth quarter decision to bring in some Tattered Rose ink from Distress Ink. And this Tattered Rose is the faintest pink color. Now you can, of course, the more you press, the more intensified the ink will be. But I am just giving the faintest, lightest hand to the application of this Tattered Rose. You can barely see it on camera, but it is there. And what it does is just kind of give us a pink halo around the that hot foiled panel that I created for our card panel. And because it's lifted up, then you can get that faint pink color really is able to shine from behind the panel. So I've pressed that into place, and now I'm going to add, yes, some more foam tape. This card, I tell you guys, it is dimension on dimension on dimension, because that foam tape, put some foam tape on the back of that panel, and now I've adhered that panel with all of its dimension to a card base. All three cards were made using Accent Opaque 120 pound cardstock, for the card panels. So here are the hot foil plates that I used for the second and third card. The first one is called Twinkle Lights. And the second set that I used is called Gilded Nested Rectangle Glimmer Plates. I was showing you that this one has 4 different hot foil plates on it. You can use them all together or you can use them separately, because that gives you lots of options and ways to use this set. So let's take a closer look at these cards. So this is the first card that I made, and you can see even though it's the simplest card, it still has a lot of interest and details and dimension on this card as well. Here's the second card that I made, and this is where I started to add in the hot foiling. So of course, with adding the hot foiled background, that's going to take a little bit longer to make the card, but still it was a quick card. And then the third and final card is the one that had dimension on top of dimension and lots of texture. Again, this card has a hot foiled background and it takes a little bit longer, but because I'm using this whole coordinated collection from Spellbinders, the Serenade of Autumn suite, it came together really quickly. So I want to thank you guys for joining me for the video. All of the products I've used will be listed and linked below in the description box. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And until next time, everyone, enjoy!